Yeah, it's very simple. Pretty good.
All right, Rabbi, whenever you're ready.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And welcome once again to Congregation Kol Ami. We welcome everyone who's out there online. And we'd like to begin with a nigun, just to get us into a different frame of mind. So.
Lie da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da.
So we are here together again as a community. And as always, it's a good thing to check in and find out how everybody's doing. How are all the Jews in the neighborhood? And get a little bit of reference on that. So what do we got going here? First of all, I know we have at least one anniversary. Judith and Edward Brohl. My mistake. Oh, I'm just making mistakes all over. All right. Brohl are celebrating their anniversary, so mazel tov to them. And for birthdays, we have Taylor Chahal and John Greenberg, Rachel Moran, Natasha Silverlabe, Eric Tell, Tilly Wisniewski, Deborah Greenberg, Betty Gross, Hannah Selinsky, Yale Silverman, and Stephen Weinberg. So we want to wish a mazel tov to all of them. Who has something to report from the pews? Anybody have a good and blessing to report? No, everybody's just flatlining, as it were. All right, even keel. Okay, well, I have to say from my own perspective, it's been a great professional week. I thought that religious school was exceptionally good last week, and so it started my week well. And then I had, I think, a very, very useful pastoral engagement today. So it just felt good. I felt like I was effective this past week. So, you know, I don't normally think about my what I'm doing as a rabbi per se as my good and blessing, but in this particular case, I think it was. So we're going to get our Shabbat started with the kindling of Shabbat lights. We're going to be in service number 2 in our purple book. So that's going to be page 26. And it's my privilege to invite up our Vice President of Education and of Youth, Casey Flansbaum, to kindle our Shabbat lights, page 26.
A different light shines this day, a light pure and bright. Its glow is like that of an angel's. Its brightness fills my heart completely. I shall rejoice and be glad. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Praised are you, O Holy One of blessing, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
Thank you, my dear.
Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Now, I'm going to take us back to page 24 for an opening reading, bottom of the page. We sit here newly gathered before the face of our God, joining together to worship the eternal and to sanctify our own existence. How shall we begin to search, to reach for the sacred part of ourselves where rests the essence of all that is good? by stopping our concerns for those things which distract us all week long, and by welcoming the Sabbath bride, and by opening ourselves to hear the message, oh so silent, carried to us by the small, still voice of God. I'm going to invite you now, Anim Zemirot.
Sure.
Page 25, bottom of the page. Anim Zemirot. I seek pleasing melodies and weave songs, for my soul thirsts for you.
I'm going to do it first in Hebrew and then in English. Anim Zemirot v'shirim e'ro, ki elecha nafshi aro, nafshi chamda b'tzel yadecha, ledat kol rasodecha. Amen, amen. Midei dabari b'chovedecha, yomer libi edodecha, yerab nafsi ki alecha, ki nafshi tzarog elecha. Amen, amen. Sweet hymns and songs will I recite. I sing of you both day and night, of you who are my soul's delight, of you who are my soul's delight. Amen, amen.
We're going to keep, sorry.
That's okay.
We're going to continue now with Shalom Aleichem on page 27.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olechem HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nila Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem LaShalom, Ma'el HaShalom, Ma'el Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Peace to you, ministering angels, messengers of the Most High, the Majesty of majesties, the Holy One of blessing. Come in peace, bless us with peace, and go in peace. Which brings us now to the Hatzi Kaddish on page 29.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yivrach Yerutei v'yamlich mahutei.
B'chayechon
u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei kol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, u'v'yisman kariv, v'yemoru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Le'olam olam ve'omaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemir kudashah, b'richu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush birchata v'nechemata, Damiran Bioma, Bimaru,
Amen. So we come now to a problem, a conundrum of Jewish law and practice. And that is that we are shy a minyan tonight. Now, there are a couple of solutions to that. I could get on the phone, not itself a halakhic way of dealing with Shabbat, and I could call people and we could all mill around until we found a 10th, or we could have a child hold on to into a Bible and they would qualify as 10, or there is the solution that we open up the ark and use the Torah as a 10th, in which case we'll be standing, but I'll keep the service short. So let's all rise if able and turn to the ark. And Baruch.
Baruch et Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed. Bless the eternal, O my soul. Eternal God, you are very great. You are clothed in glory and majesty, wrapped in light like a robe. You spread out the heavens like a tent cloth, and God sets the rafters in the high places in the water. God makes the winds to be messengers, fiery flames to serve you. You made the deep cover the earth as a garment, when waves stand above mountains. You make the springs gush forth in torrents, and they make their way between the hills. You wander the mountains from your high places, and the earth is sated with the fruit of your work. The trees of the eternal drink their fill. The cedars of Lebanon, your own planting, where birds make their nests, while the stork has her home in the junipers. God made the moon to mark the seasons, and the sun knows its time to set. How manifold are your works, O eternal, in wisdom. May the glory of the eternal endure forever, and may you rejoice in your works. Bless the eternal, O my soul. Hallelujah. As I sing of one God, I rejoice in the wonders of the world, and I pray for the day when all people shall be one. Together with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Remain standing as we do the V'ahavta.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anoki mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'divartavam v'shivteka v'veitecha uvlechteka v'aderech u'shachveka uv'kumecha u'shartam la'ot al-yodecha v'chayu l'totafot b'neinecha Uktatam al mitzutzot beitecha u'yesharecha l'ma'an titkaru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai v'yitem kiddushim le'ohehem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti echem לארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And we recognize you as the God of our redemption by singing Micha Mocha.
Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Mi chamocha boilim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, O sefer, Norah tehilot, O sefer. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai bim bam.
Middle of page 33. Grant that we lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Baruch atah Adonai haporech sukat shalom aleinu v'al amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We continue now with tefillah. Adonai separati kahu v'yadita tipatecha. Adonai, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imakeinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hamenorah El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher HaSkel V'Imaro U'Mevi Gulam L'Nei B'Neihem L'Manu Shemo V'Ahava Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magin Baruch atah Adonai Magin Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah V'Hoshia, Mechalkel Chayim V'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim. So make no fling Berofei Olim, U'matir Asurim, U'mechayeh Emunato. Nishanei Afar, Niglamot Aval Gevuro, Umidom Elam, Melech Meni, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman Hayot Hapo, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh, kadosh, udoshim b'chol yom yachal v'katzela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, la'asot et haShabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. B'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et haShamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Ubayom hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash. God, we ask that you accept our prayers because you always occupy the place of reverence among all your people, Israel. We also give you our thanks for all the gifts of your life, morning, noon, and night. We close out now with Shalom Rav. Israel Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Israel Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Tasim Leolam. Tov lecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Israel Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. And now we can take a moment for our own silent prayers and meditations, and then conclude with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bin Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'yakol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom bin Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'yakol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'yakol Yisrael. 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 Imru Amen.
Spooky season. That's what we like to call this time in America. And, because we're always expanding out things in America, whether it be Christmas or Halloween, we turn a single day or a single event into a season. And so this is spooky season. Now, for Jews, every season is spooky season. I mean, we've spent a long time being worried and being scared. I even have here the famous quote from Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav: "The whole world is a very narrow bridge. The key is not to be afraid." And that's how we've lived for generations, feeling like the world was a very narrow bridge, feeling like there were always things to intimidate us, to scare us, to frighten us. Except here in America. In America, we've lived a pretty blessed life, probably unique in the annals of Jewish history outside the land of Israel. However, we have been enduring a particularly long, spooky season, perhaps for the last 4 years. It all began with Jews will not replace us. In my heart, when I heard those words chanted by a surprisingly disciplined mob in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, I knew that there was more spooky season to come, that things were going to get worse. But just like knowing a loved one will soon die, it really doesn't prepare you for when it happens. And so my mind was not prepared for what happened the next year in Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh. Squirrel Hill is a fabled Jewish neighborhood. It's produced academics and media figures, federal judges, renowned physicians, activists, writers, scientists, Nobel Prize winners. 2 of the Nobel Prize winners of this year both grew up in Squirrel Hill. And 3 years ago, it went from a notable place to a notorious place when 11 Jews were gunned down in prayer in their synagogue, in their sanctuary. None of these Jews were among the high-profile names that until that day appeared day in and day out in the media. Most of them were older, because Judaism stands upon the foundation of our elders, and even death didn't make them exceptional. For in the annals of American mass murder, we have many such episodes. African Americans, LGBTQ people, Christians, Muslims, all have known the horror of being massacred in places that they considered their sanctuaries, that they considered their special places while here in America. Still, for us, the Jews, it was a milestone. The worst anti-Semitic crime in our national history was perpetrated there at the ironically named Tree of Life Synagogue. Anti-Semitism is indeed the oldest, most persistent hatred in history. My colleague Jeff Sulkin calls it the oldest ism in history, the oldest living ideology. It has followed us in every continent and almost every time and place where Jews have dwelt and strived to make life for themselves. It seemed less of a problem here. But it haunts us still because in truth, violent racism has been, for most of American Jews, most of our experience, a background rumble, a white noise in the symphony of the American Jewish experience. Yes, we can recall and have read about the discrimination that Jews endured in the 19th and mid-20th century. We're haunted by the callous refusal of our government to allow Jewish refugees onto American shores before and during the Holocaust. We all recall the Leo Frank lynching. But truly lethal events, like the one that happened in Squirrel Hill, have been few and far between. Mostly hate crimes against an individual Jew, against a building, scattered over decades. This, however, was not only different in quantity, but also in quality and nature. First of all, it was done, as anti-Semites always do, for a reason, a hateful reason. Anger at Jews for honoring our sacred values. Jews, all of us, immigrants, emigres, and refugees since the time we first left Egypt, are lovers and supporters of immigrants, upholding the biblical precept, you shall love the stranger, for you know the heart of the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And the killer particularly resented that. He singled out an organization known as Chas, the Hebrew Immigration Aid Society, an American charity that was originally founded over 100 years ago to assist fellow Jews immigrating to America, but for decades now has been an agency that extends aid to immigrants from all backgrounds, refugees from all backgrounds. The very existence of Haas drove the killer to slay the people who he believed embodied its values. Moreover, it took place in a Jewish sacred space, something that Jews in other countries and other continents have endured repeatedly, but almost never here. And then there was the neighbor itself. While charmed with its enduring Jewish presence, it has also been a place that has been charmed on other levels. It's produced luminaries of many kinds. For example, the author, beloved author Willa Cather, and Fred, Mr. Rogers. All of those people are connected to Squirrel Hill. And of course, it happened at a sacred moment, Shabbat. Jews are not surprised to note that we are often struck down by haters when we are in our most beloved places, during our most beloved gatherings. And here in Texas, what has followed in the last month has been a cacophony, a series of blows. We've had the incident at South Lake Independent School District, where unintentionally, but nevertheless shamefully, a educator suggested that there were alternative views of how to see the Holocaust. Maybe there is a pro-genocide view that we're not generally open to hearing. But more recently, we've had incidents in Austin and San Antonio where overtly anti-Semitic groups have gathered, put up signs, posters, banners across streets condemning the Jewish people. And then we have the most recent incident, which is for whatever political posturing it requires. One of our Texas representatives has included a book on his index of books that need to be reviewed and make sure that it's appropriate and not offensive to any given group. So he wants to remove Holocaust books from classrooms. So how do we respond to this? How do we deal with this new wave of things that spook us, that worry us, that scare us? Well, first of all, let us be stronger than the hate. How is that possible? With the calm assurance and with the commitment that love is greater than hate. And the belief that love and human commitment to one another will out-endure any hate. Some 2,500 years ago, give or take 100 or a couple of hundred, a psalmist wrote this in Psalm 92, a psalm for the Shabbat day. Befroach berashim kamo esev zetzizu kol poalei even. Although the wicked may sprout like grass and evildoers flourish, they are destined to destruction. That's our ikar. That's our central principle when it comes to fear and anxiety. And it's also the lesson from our history. The oppressors of the Jewish people, the Emperor Titus, the Emperor Hadrian, Tokamata, Stalin, Hitler, and their regimes are all gone. Their civilizations have withered. But we and our Torah have survived, endured, and even thrived. So let us not give us new strength to renew ourselves 2,000 years after the composition of Psalm 92, even though it has only been about 200 years ago. In another vibrant Jewish language, it was said, Yidden mish yishashe, Jews, do not despair. That too was the motto of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, the man who said that the whole world was a very narrow bridge. Never, never give up. That is how we will triumph. Be stronger than hate. Never give up on a strong, safe, and enlightened Jewish future. Never give up on returning this country to sanity and decently. Never give up on securing the dignity for Jews, for Latinos, for African Americans, for Muslims, for girls and women and GPQ2 people, for anyone who suffers from harassment or violence or marginalization. As the Talmud instructs, Jews should always empathize with the nirdaf, that is, the person being pursued, not with the rodef, the pursuer. And never give up on realizing the dream of continued coexistence of Jews and non-Jews here in America and everywhere. We have enjoyed so much of that for so long, we can have it again. And since all the fear that has been engendered since Squirrel Hill, the anger and frustration of events here in Texas in the last month, don't forget the power we have to create a more just world, because we are empowered, because of our affluence, our education, our political influence, our rich moral heritage, and yes, the security that we enjoy in the general population in this wonderful country. It's all there for us to tap into and use to secure the future. So I believe that terror and forces that would frighten us, that would spook us, intimidate us, and divide us today will in the end be defeated, because this is a world in which God has created that is unable in the long term to tolerate oppression and will not forever tolerate evil. I'm going to close with a quote from Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal reporter who was, as a Jew, kidnapped and murdered by religious fanatics on another continent. He once told an interviewer, "Terrorism is a psychological weapon. It stops you from claiming the world as your own. It stops you from relating to other people. It creates fear and hatred. The only way to fight terrorism as a citizen is to deny them these emotions, to not be spooked. The one thing they are not expecting is my happiness. That is true revenge. In the end, we believe evil will consume itself. And meanwhile, we must be strong, not despair, and maybe every once in a while we should sing." So I thought we'd conclude with Psalm 121. If you go all the way back to our prayer book and back, I think it's page, is it 100? Page 99. Esanai, Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes. From where will my help come? My help will come from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth.
Esainai el harim, me'ayin yavo Esri, Ne'im Adonai oseh shamayim ba'aretz, Yaman hashemesh lo yakecha, ve'yariach ve'layla, Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha, yishmor et nafshecha, Adonai yishmor secha uyodecha, me'ata be'ad olam, me'ata be'ad olam.
The sun shall not strike us by day, nor the moon by night. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. May God watch over us as we go forth and we come in from this time forth forever. And let us say, Amen. So with that, it's time for announcements. All right, we are actually on the Halloween break. It's not our holiday, but it gives us a break. Come on up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Announcements. Sisterhood Vodkas and Latkes is coming up. Sisterhood members, please join us with your +1 for a night of vodka and latkes and fun. Sunday, November 14th at CKA, we will be celebrating Hanukkah the Sisterhood way. The event starts at 4 p.m., so don't be late. Sisterhood will be providing latkes, a latke topping bar, and other snacks. Please bring your favorite beverage to share. RSVP to Carly Wisniewski. You can find her email in the post on the website. And remember, it's never too late to sign up for Sisterhood. You can find more information and the link to sign up on the website. Tikkun Olam is having a sock and underwear drawer. Each night, over 600,000 people live on the streets in the US. As the weather turns cooler, let's bring the gift of warmth to the community. Starting November 1st and running through the 30th, our Tikkun Olam group will be collecting socks and underwear for all genders and sizes. We will have a box here so you can drop off any donations. For questions, please contact our VP of Tikkun Olam, Melissa Trapani. There's 2 sock and underwear drives at the same time. So we're also doing one for the religious school involving cards for seniors for Hanukkah as well. The children in the religious school will be creating Hanukkah cards for Jewish residents in our local senior centers. Costco socks. In addition, from November 1st through the 14th, they will be gathering up socks and toiletries to present with the cards. The children should bring their donations to class. If you have any questions, contact me or our VP of Tikkun Olam, Melissa Trapani. And there will not be any religious school this Sunday, October 31st, because Miss Casey does not teach on Halloween. It's a riot. We will return to classes on November 7th. On that day, we'll be joined by a representative from Green Family Camp to talk to the kids about Green and what happens over the summer. That'll be happening at 11 o'clock, so parents are welcome to join for that. And as always, you can find all the specific details for these announcements and anything else you might need on the congregation website. If you'll preemptively turn to page 40, we'll be reciting names and adding to the list of anybody who might be in need of healing. Does anyone have a name they'd like to add to that list? Thank you. Thank you. May the one who blessed our ancestors also bless Harry Anthony, Joyce Bloom, Natalie Bavino, Sandy Cook, Dave Cook, Gordon Ellison, Sarah Galpert, Michelle Griffith, Jody Hoffman, Carol Jones, Deb Kaufman, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Kurt Kronfuss, Jillian Kronfuss, Deb Ledden, Phyllis Lorelli, Shirley Lunsford, Charles Mink, Herbert Paley, Paul Redwood Jr., Sandy Garber Rubin, Adrian Sandler, Danny Santos, Myra Schusler, Dale Seaver, Jeff Tilley, Maria Tilley, and Mark Womack. And again, page 40 or the back of your booklet.
Misha Be'erach Avotenu Mikor Habraha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Be'erach Imotenu Nekor Abraham Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, as always, for everything you do. Socks and underwear, bring it. Prepackaged, not used. And we'll enjoy that together. So also a couple other things that weren't mentioned. Our final Oi the Horror film session is coming up next Thursday. I believe it's November 5th. And then following that, is it 5th or 6th? It's 4th. 4th. I was wrong on both accounts. And then starting November 11th, we're going to begin a seminar for the people who are considering conversion to Judaism. So if any of our viewers out there or know someone who has been flirting with the idea of exploring Judaism further, November 11th on Thursday evenings will be our sessions together. So with that, then, it's time for us to close out our service. And I invite you all to please rise. And would you help me with the ark, my dear?
I would gladly.
Page 82.
Shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzo, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama. Shelo sam kerokeinu kahen, v'kol aleinu k'kol hamonah. V'nachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, v'chen elech ma'pei ha'machim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noten Shamayim v'Yosed Haaretz, U'moshav Yikaro v'Shamayim Yima'al, U'shkinatu Tzo, v'Dovei Me'omi, Hu Eloheinu Eino, Emet Malkeinu Etzulato, Prakatu V'Torato, Yadata Hayom V'Hashivota El Avecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, V'Shamayim Imam, V'Yah Haaretz, V'Yah Haaretz,
Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. And so it is apropos that we honor all those people who have passed away, whether it be recently or those people who died at this season in years past. So I begin by acknowledging those people who have died just in the last few days during Shiva. We're thinking of Natalie Pesach, the great aunt of Amanda Levin Russo, and Joe Diamond, the father of Dr. David Diamond and grandfather of Shana and Jackson Diamond. Is there anyone else who's lost someone in the last week? For Shloshim, we continue to mourn for Sandy Lenzner, the stepmother of Michelle Tell, and for Jerry Dietz, the stepfather of Elizabeth Kennedy. Is there anyone else to add a name for the past month? And for Yahrzeit this week, we have Marilyn Ray Bernstein, Kitty Fales, Paul Gelman, Anita Goldberg, Melanie Goodman, F.D. Richard Hendrickson, John Holencheck, Julius Jacobs, Peter McGregor Scott, Kathy McDaniel, Mabel Anderson Nagel, Mario Paglia, and Dr. Edward Willikin. Is there anyone else with the Yahrzeit or anniversary of death? All right. Together, we join in honoring them, those names, but also in showing our support to those who mourn for them by turning to page 85 and rising for Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei V'chayechon uvyom echon, uvchaye l'chol Beit Israel, Bagalal ubizman kariv imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'elam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba mim shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Usei shalom b'mromav hu yasei shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us, and let us say, amen. Please be seated. And for a closing song,
Yedid Nefesh, which is on page 105.
page 105, Yedid Nefesh.
Number 49. Page 105, number 49. Yedid Nefesh V'Rachaman, Yedid Nefesh V'Rachaman, Mishochav Decha, El Retzonecha, Mishochav Decha, la 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 la, El Retzonecha. Yarutz Abdecha Kimo Hayam Yishtachave la 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 El Hadarecha Yarutz Abdecha Kimo Hayam Yishtachave la 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 El Hadarecha.
Beloved of my heart, source of compassion, take your servant into your arms. I leap like a gazelle before you, and I pray before your beauty. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out our service with Kiddush and with Motzi. So, would you want to conduct this?
I'd be
I'm
glad
going
to do it.
turn this over to you. Grab my mask.
All right.
Scoot back.
Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'shabbat uvratzon hirkilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tequila lamikra'ei kodesh zecher litziyat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'tanu kidashta mekamin v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahavat uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. I should preview the fact that starting in November, we're going to start revising some of our policies. We've already decided that we're going to set aside taking temperatures at religious school, and we're probably going to be gradually, yet to be determined policy, opening up for ONEC again, starting in November and December on a limited basis. And where we go from that in the new year, we'll see, depending on how things trend in the general culture. But for now, it's a motzi and our delightful prepackaged things in the foyer. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Arr. Pirate Day.